Good evening and welcome to the 1175th regular meeting and public hearing of the Livonia City Planning Commission. I wish to inform all interested persons in the audience that for petitions on tonight's agenda, which involve a question of zoning, the Planning Commission will make a recommendation to the City Council, and the City Council, after holding their own public hearing, will make the final determination as to whether a petition is approved or denied. The Planning Commission will hold the only public hearing on requests for preliminary plats and/or vacating petitions. The Commission's recommendation is forwarded to City Council for a final determination as to whether the petition is accepted or rejected. If a petition requesting a waiver of use or a site plan is denied tonight, the petitioner will have 10 days in which to appeal the decision in writing to City Council. Resolutions adopted by the City Planning Commission will become effective 7 days after the date of adoption. The Planning Commission and professional staff have reviewed each of these petitions upon their filing. Staff has furnished the Commission with both approving and denying resolutions, which the Commission may or may not use depending on the outcome of the proceedings tonight. If our Secretary is ready, please call the roll.
Mrs. Smiley.
Present.
Mrs. McCue.
Here.
Mr. Bonjero.
Here.
Mr. Long.
Here.
Mr. Ventura.
Here.
Caramagno is here. Chairman Wilshaw.
Is here. Also with us tonight, we have Mark Taormina and we have Stephanie Reese from our Planning Department. And I think we are all set. The format of the meeting, just for anyone in the audience that's interested, is that we will start with the petitioner who will speak to the item that they have presented to us. We can ask questions of them, and then we'll have an opportunity for anyone else in the audience who wishes to ask questions to speak for or against the petition will be able to come forward and do that. So with that, we're going to go right into the public hearing section of our agenda. And item number 1, Mr. Secretary.
Petition 2021-07-02-13 submitted by Leo Soave, requesting special waiver use approval to develop a planned residential development pursuant to Article 20 of the City of Livonia zoning ordinance number 543 as amended, consisting of a condominium subdivision with 19 detached single-family homes on the properties at 37711, 37631, and 37601 Plymouth Road, located on the south side of Plymouth Road between Newburgh and Jarvis Avenue in the southeast quarter of Section 30.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Taormina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this is a request to develop a planned residential development consisting of 19 single-family homes that would be in the form of a condominium subdivision. The location of this property is the southwest corner of Plymouth and Jug Handle Roads. The property is 3.36 acres in total area and is currently undeveloped. The site, as you can see from this zoning map, is bounded on 3 sides by public roads. Along the north side is Plymouth Road with about 298 feet of frontage. On the east side is Jug Handle Road with 395 feet of frontage, and to the south is Edward Hines Park, which is 136 feet. On the west side of the property, the site borders Hunters Park Estates condominiums, which is zoned R1, one-family residential. The property is currently in the process of being rezoned from C1, local business, to R1, one-family, or RC, residential condominium. City Council gave first reading to the rezoning on July 12th. The second reading and roll call, which are the final steps in the rezoning process, are on hold pending a review of the special waiver use and site plan. RC zoning allows condominium dwellings as a permitted use subject to the review and approval of the Planning Commission and the City Council. The use of the PRD standards under Article 20 does require waiver use approval. Planned residential development is a special development option that allows for reduced yard requirements to help overcome natural and other unique obstacles or constraints that pose challenges to land development under conventional design standards. Hines Place is being proposed as a detached condominium subdivision. The planned residential development option does not increase density. The number of units is limited to what would normally be achieved using conventional design standards. In an RC district, the maximum allowable density is calculated according to the minimum land area per unit. For each 2-bedroom unit, a total of 4,350 square feet of land is required, and this translates to a density of roughly 10 units per acre. On the subject 3.4 acre site, the maximum number of two-bedroom homes would be 34, and as was indicated earlier, this site plan shows 19 units, which equates to a density of roughly 5.6 dwelling units per acre, and is well below the allowable density. Article 20 does not regulate individual lot size. The current design concept shows most of the lots measuring 40 feet in width by 100 feet in depth for a total area of 4,000 square feet. All the home sites would front on a 24-foot wide private street that would have access from Jug Handle. The proposed street would extend approximately 150 feet in an east-west direction from Jug Handle, then turn north and continue for approximately 280 feet, where it would end at a T-turnaround just south of Plymouth Road. A sidewalk is provided for all of the lots, and this new sidewalk system would join with new public sidewalks that would be provided along both Plymouth Road and Jug Handle Road. Management of the site's storm runoff would occur in the southwest corner of the site in the form of an underground detention basin. The landscaping plan shows a variety of plantings in several areas, including along the site's frontages on Plymouth and Jug Handle, and on the berm along the west side of the property where it abuts the adjacent Hunter Parks residential development. Additionally, there is a tree shown in the front yard of each unit. Signage is allowed, one identification sign that would be a maximum of 20 square feet in area and 5 feet in height. The sign must be at least 10 feet from the right-of-way. On any private subdivision property, only in yards adjacent to streets at the entrance of the subdivision. So we haven't really reviewed this development in terms of its signage, but there's ample room provided at the entrance off of Jug Handle for a sign to be placed to meet all of these requirements. Master deed and bylaws was submitted, showing that all of the homes would be partially bricked. The master deed indicates that there would be at least 65% of the exterior would consist of stone or masonry or brick for multi-story residences, and then for ranches, that percentage would increase to 80%. Petitioner's finalized drawings showing some of the building plans, and I'll just go through those quickly. These are some of the homes, the designs that the petitioner submitted. Again, these are predominantly 1.5 story homes, including the 2-car attached garages. You can see the floor plan layout. Each of the commissioners should have a copy of that. And then in terms of the design, there's a variety of front elevations that are provided with the plans. And Mr. Chairman, with that, I'll be happy to read out the correspondence on this item.
Yes, please.
Our first letter is from the engineering department. It's dated August 17th, and it reads, the existing parcels are currently serviced by public water main, sanitary sewer, and storm sewer, although the storm sewers are under the jurisdiction of Wayne County. The developer is familiar with the engineering department standards for the site developments and has been in contact with this office regarding the project. Based on the review of the submitted drawings, the following items should be noted. The roadway widths do not meet current engineering department standards, which indicates that all roadways and storm sewers within them will be privately owned. All storm sewers on the site will be privately owned and will be subject to review and permitting through the Wayne County Department of Public Service. The development will need to meet the requirements of the Wayne County Stormwater Ordinance. Although the roadway will be privately owned, it is recommended that the developer obtain guidance by a licensed geotechnical engineer for a proposed roadway cross-section based on soil borings from this site. The developer will need to obtain permits from Wayne County for the proposed roadway connection to Jug Handle Avenue, as well as for any work occurring within the Plymouth Road right-of-way. That letter is signed by David Lear, Assistant City Engineer. Next is a letter dated August 4th from our Fire Division, and it reads, we have no objections to this proposal with the following stipulations. A fire access road shall be provided with not less than 20 feet of unobstructed width and have a minimum of 13 feet 6 inches of vertical clearance in accordance with 18.23411 and 18.23412 of NFPA 1 2015. Number 2, standard for residential cul-de-sacs is 50 feet with a minimum right-of-way radius of 60 feet to provide for sidewalks and utilities. 3, fire lanes shall be marked with wall or pole-mounted signs that have the words fire lane, no parking painted on both sides for pole-mounted or single-sided for wall mount in contrasting colors at a size and spacing approved by the authority having jurisdiction. Number 4, Fire hydrants and water supply shall be required according to 18.3 NFPA 1, 2015. Note, per the City of Livonia Engineering Division, fire hydrants in areas with single-family residential structures will have spacing not to exceed 500 feet. Hydrants must be EJIW Midwest Model 6BR or EJIW Water Master Model 5BR 250, located a minimum of 3 feet behind the curb. And that letter is signed by Greg Thomas, Fire Marshal. Next is a letter of no objection coming from the Traffic Bureau Division. That's signed by Scott Shapansky, Sergeant, dated August 4th. Letter of no objection coming from the Inspection Department, dated August 23rd, and signed by Jerome Hanna, Director of Inspection. Another letter of no objection coming from the Department of Finance, dated August 6th, and signed by Connie Cumpula, Chief Accountant. And lastly, a letter of no objection from the Office of the Treasurer, dated August 4th, and signed by Linda Shield, Treasurer of the City of Livonia. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Taormina. Any questions for our planning staff?
Sure.
Sure, Mr. Bonjero.
Just one question for Mark. You know, at the study meeting, we had talked about maybe changing the configuration of the end cul-de-sac or the hammerhead down there. Did that ever come up?
That has not come up. There was no changes. I'm not sure if the petitioner has anything
Okay.
to add regarding
I'll
that.
ask him, okay. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll go, if there's no other questions for our planning staff, good. We'll go to our petitioner, Mr. Pastor, good evening.
Good evening, John Pastor, 33461 Capri Court, Livonia, Michigan, representing Leo Soave Homes. Here to answer any and all your questions, one being the cul-de-sac. They have to meet with the Wayne County Engineering and the Fire Department to make sure what angles they want that road on. They will be doing that, it's just a matter of meeting with them and meeting with their criteria to see how they want that laid out.
Gotcha.
But they did, Mr. Soave is aware and will be doing that with those
Okay,
department heads.
thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Pastor. Is there any other questions for our petitioner? From any of the commissioners? Exciting. Well, I think you're gonna get a pretty easy night here, Mr. Pastor, in terms of questions. Is there anyone in our audience wishing to speak for or against this item? We have one person in our audience. Feel free to.
First I'm for, just one point of clarity.
Sir, can you please come forward, because we can't hear you without the microphones.
Got it, sorry.
It's okay. That way our TV audience can hear you as well.
This will be quick.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah, I'm here with, on behalf of Hunters Park Court. They just had me show up to make sure everything was what we thought it was gonna be, which in fact it is, okay? So answered every question I had.
Great.
But the only point of clarification would be, are these 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom? Are they 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, a mix?
We can have the petitioner describe that for you so that you have a better idea. We have some photos as well, but we'll have him actually talk about the square footage and the number of bedrooms and so on, so that you can
It's my only question.
have that. Okay, great. And sir, can we just get your name for our minutes?
Dave Sabota on Hunters Park Court.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. Mr. Pastor, you heard the question from our resident here regarding the homes. Can you just describe them a little bit further?
The homes are gonna range anywhere from 1,400 to 2,000 square foot, 2-car garage. You're gonna have anywhere from 2 to 3 bedrooms, depending on the clientele, which ones they're gonna want more. So it's gonna be a mixed use and mixed different elevations and stuff. So they're not gonna be 19 of the same elevations and stuff, so.
Like 3 different elevations?
There's at least 3, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm good.
Great, excellent. Well, thank you, sir, for coming this evening. There is no one else in our audience, so I'll go back to our commission and see if there's any other additional questions. Mrs. Smiley?
Yes, Mr. Pastor, do you have these built somewhere else?
No, not these small ones, no. This is these are a little bit smaller units, being the smaller size and smaller lot sizes, designed for the, probably empty nesters, so that they can have less, maintenance. But what's good about this product is, we're not back to back, we're not all connected. So we still have our own individual houses, but it's still in a condominium that you're not taking care of much yard. So it's a unique new product that's coming out on the market, and more people are getting, more excited about this product.
Okay, and when you say you're not taking care of your own yard, does the condo,
The kind of, no, you still take care of your own yard. It's, the common areas, it's still the same. It's just you don't have much yard to take care of,
so
as you would in a normal, instance.
you'd be responsible for your snow removal and your lawn cutting and all that?
Your lawn cutting and snow removal on your own property and stuff, but they'll probably, since it's a private road, they'll have a, snowplow company with the condominium association paying for it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Smiley. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Caramagno.
John, when might this project start?
We're hoping to get the 7-day waiver, try to get the council and get the second reading and get their waiver so that we can get our plans into the engineering department. He wants to start before year end.
Okay, thank you.
The site, you know, and that just goes with Wayne County, because Wayne County, I don't know if you know, they're really backed up. Actually, they have consultants now helping them review plans. So OHM, there's other consultants that are actually reviewing the plans because Wayne County is so far backed up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caramagno. Any other questions?
Sure.
Mr. Ventura.
Mr. Pastor, who will manage the homeowners association?
Mr. Soave will until the majority of the homes are sold, then he turns it over to the homeowners association.
And they'll have an election or something like that?
Yes.
Okay. And is there a, do you know what the homeowners fee, what the HOA fees will be, or will that be determined at some?
Right now, they usually start off at 500 a year.
500 a year?
Yep.
Okay. Great.
That's what my association is, and I just, you know, I'm in the Capri Court, and there's 17 houses there, and we're $500 for a year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ventura. Any other questions? If not, I think we've exhausted our questions for this item. I'll close the public hearing at this time, and a motion would be in order.
Mr. Chair,
Mrs. Smiley.
yes, I'll make an approving resolution that the request to develop a planned residential development, Hines Place, consisting of 19 site condominium lots on the properties 37711, 37631, and 37601 Plymouth Road, is hereby approved, subject to the city council approval and the following conditions. That the master deed and bylaws complies with the requirements of the zoning ordinance and the subdivision control ordinance, Title 16, Chapter 16.04 to 16.40 of the Livonia Code of Ordinances. That the site plan identified as sheet number CS 1001, dated August 2nd, 2021, as revised, prepared by Angle Design and Engineering, is hereby approved and shall be adhered to. That the landscape planting plan and the landscape notes and details identified as LP1 and LP2 respectively, both dated July the 27th of 2021, prepared by Nagy Devlin Land Design, are hereby approved and shall be adhered to. That all disturbed lawn areas, including the road rights-of-way, shall be sodded in lieu of hydroseeding. That underground sprinklers are to be provided for all landscaped and sodded areas, and all planted materials shall be installed to the satisfaction of the inspection department and thereafter permanently maintained in a healthy condition. That streetlights and sidewalks shall be installed throughout the development to the satisfaction of the engineering department. In the event of a conflict between the provisions set forth in the master deed and bylaws and the requirements set forth in the City of Livonia zoning ordinance, the zoning ordinance requirements shall prevail, and the petitioner shall comply with the zoning ordinance requirements. That the petitioner shall include language in the master deed and the bylaws or a separate recordable instrument wherein the condominium association shall reimburse the City of Livonia for any maintenance or repair costs incurred for the stormwater detention, retention, and outlet facilities. That the petitioner shall comply to the satisfaction of the Department of Public Safety, Livonia Fire and Rescue, and the stipulations as outlined in the correspondence dated the August the 4th of 2021. The developer and all contractors and all subcontractors shall employ the best management practices to prevent, reduce, and mitigate the problems associated with soil erosion and airborne dirt and dust from migrating off-site, including provisions for erosion control barriers, daily street sweeping, watering, and halting earthwork activities on days when the wind conditions are likely to cause a problem. That only a conforming entrance marker is approved with this petition, and any additional signage shall be separately submitted for the review and approval of the Zoning Board of Appeals. That all required cash deposits, certified checks, irrevocable bank letters of credit, and/or surety bonds shall be deposited with the city prior to the issuance of engineering permits for the site condominium development, and pursuant to the zoning ordinance of the City of Livonia, this approval is valid for a period of 1 year only from the date of approval by the City Council, and unless a building permit is obtained, this approval shall be null and void at the expiration of said period.
Thank you, Mrs. Smiley. Is there support?
Support.
I heard Mr. Long first, so I will say that we have a motion to approve by Mrs. Smiley, supported by Mr. Long. Is there any discussion on the motion? That'll be after. Any discussion? No discussion? If the secretary is ready, please call the roll.
Mrs. Smiley.
Aye.
Mr. Long.
Aye.
Mrs. McCue.
Aye.
Mr. Bonjero.
Aye.
Mr. Ventura.
Aye.
Caramagno votes aye. Chairman Wilshaw.
Votes aye. And the motion is passed. That will go to City Council with an approving recommendation, and I believe our petitioner is requesting a 7-day waiver. Is someone willing to offer that?
I will.
Mrs. Smiley, and supported by
Support.
Mrs. McCue. And this is a request to waive the 7-day period, which hopefully will allow the petitioner to get onto City Council's agenda a little bit quicker. If there's no objection to that motion, I think we can safely show 7 on that one to approve. I see no objections, so we'll mark that as approved for a 7-day waiver.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming this evening, Mr. Pastor.
you.
Good luck with your project.
I appreciate it.
And that takes us to item number 2 on our agenda.
And that is petition 2021-08-03-02 submitted by the City of Livonia pursuant to section 1208 of the City of Livonia ordinances as amended to determine whether or not to vacate a portion of a 50-foot wide drain easement, Livonia Drain Number 1 at 11850 Mayfield Avenue, located on the east side of Mayfield between Plymouth Road and Capitol Road in the southwest quarter of section 27.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Taormina?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this is a request to vacate a drain easement. That easement is located on property that is on the east side of Mayfield between Plymouth and Capitol. As you can see, the property in this case is zoned M1, light manufacturing. The easement was part of Livonia Drain Number 1, and it runs through the center of this industrial property, and in fact, right through the center of the building. The drain did become obsolete when these properties were platted as a Livonia Park, industrial park subdivision back in the early 1970s. And as part of that planning process, the drain was enclosed and relocated along the north side of the property. And we have a plan that shows you. So the easement to be vacated, you can see, is the lower hatched area that runs right through the building, which is shown in that beige color. And then the relocated easement is outside of the building along the property line on the north side, and is not and is currently active. The new easement is 20 feet wide, and it contains an interceptor pipe that collects and conveys stormwater runoff. Unfortunately, after all of these years, the original easement was never formally vacated, which is the reason for this petition. The engineering department supports the vacating request, and approval of this petition will help avoid future title issues for the owners and really anyone with an interest in the subject property. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll be happy to read out the correspondence.
Yes, please.
We have a letter from the Engineering Division dated July 22nd that reads, Dear Commission members, on November 19th, 2020, we received from the Clerk's Office a request from 11850 Mayfield LLC to vacate and abandon portions of the Wayne County Drain, Livonia Drain Number 1, that is recorded through their properties at 11850 and 11880 Mayfield Avenue. The Engineering Division has investigated this request and finds no reason to retain the existing easements for that portion of the Livonia Drain Number 1 as shown on the attached ALTA survey. The existing drain easements were rendered obsolete when the properties were incorporated into the Livonia Industrial Park subdivision plat, and the open drain was converted to an enclosed drain that was relocated to run through an easement on the north side of the subject properties. Vacation of the existing historical easements will not affect the platted drain easement that the current drain runs through. Off-site drainage will still be collected and conveyed through the development storm system to the enclosed drain. Therefore, it is recommended that the City Planning Commission approve the vacating easement for Livonia Number 1 Extension Drainage District, Wayne County, as described. We then have a letter coming from the Finance Department, dated August 13th, with no objections. That is signed by County Compula Chief Accountant, and then a similar letter of no objection coming from the Office of Treasurer, dated August 3rd, and signed by the Treasurer, Linda Shield. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taormina. Since this is a city issue or city initiated petition, we don't have a petitioner to come
Correct.
forward on this. Is there any questions from any of our commissioners for planning staff? Or any discussion? If not, I think we can flush this one down pretty quickly. I'll go ahead and just check our audience real quick. There is no one in our audience left to speak on this, so they've ran away. And so with that, I think I can safely close the public hearing, and a motion would be in order.
Mr. Chair,
Mrs. McCue.
I'd like to offer an approving resolution that the request to vacate a portion of a 50-foot wide drain easement, Livonia Drain 1, at 11850 Mayfield Avenue is hereby approved for the following reasons. That this portion of the easement is no longer needed for public utility purposes. This open drain was rendered obsolete when the properties were platted and converted to an enclosed drain easement and relocated along the subject site's north property line. That the work has been completed and upon vacation of the old easement, a new easement will be recorded that encompasses the relocated sections of the utilities. And no reporting city department or public utility has objected to the proposed vacating.
Okay, is there support for that motion?
Support.
We have support from Mr. Bonjero. So we have approval by McCue and support by Bonjero. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, the secretary can please call the roll.
Mrs. McCue,
Aye.
Mr. Bonjero,
Aye.
Mrs. Smiley,
Aye.
Mr. Long,
Aye.
Mr. Ventura.
Aye.
Caramagno votes aye, Chairman will show.
Votes aye, motion passes, and we are now finished with the public hearing section of our agenda. And we move on to item number 3.
Which is the approval of the minutes of the 1,174th public hearing and regular meeting held by the Planning Commission on August 17th, 2021.
And it appears all members were present for that meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
By Mr. Long, supported by
Support.
Mrs. McCue. And if there is no objections, I think we can safely show 7 to approve the minutes. No one's objecting, so we'll do that. That takes us to the end of our agenda this evening. It's a quick one. Is there any other business to come before the Planning Commission this evening? If not, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Ventura, supported by,
Support. Everybody.
I think, everybody. So we'll go with Mr. Bonjero on that one. And that is a motion to adjourn. Again, if there's no objection, I think we can show 7 to adjourn. I see no objections, so we are at the end of our meeting. I'd like to thank Livonia Television staff for bringing this meeting to our community. And with no further business to come before the Planning Commission, we will adjourn the meeting this evening at 7:29 p.m. Good night, Livonia.